Don't fear zips, they are harmless. Zips are one of the things we're most afraid of in the sewing room. I remember I used to panic every time I had to sew a zipper when I started sewing, especially when I did my wedding dress and I didn't know how to do anything. But I've overcome that fear because with the correct tools you can make wonderful garments with zips, no problem at all. Normal zips have their chain to the outside so you can see it, and they're useful for anything really, trousers, skirts, dresses, and then you can even have them with a metallic finish, which is really cool and stronger, for example for denim trousers or jeans. They are really easy to sew, they are comfortable to use, and they are strong. You won't have any problems with it. I've used it with skirts, for example, and the metallic one I use with a jumpsuit, and it looks really cool. If you're enjoying the video so far, don't forget to subscribe because I upload twice a week and that way you don't miss anything. With the proper presser foot you won't have any problem sewing it, and most machines, well, all of them bring a zipper foot, but for example mine brought one that it's only to one side, so when you're going to sew the opposite side of the zip, it's a bit of a kerfuffle. It's a bit difficult, or it seemed difficult to me, because you have to maneuver, you have to handle things, and sometimes you can't see properly or move around the zip properly. So the best thing is to have a double one so you can sew both sides easily. Let's practice. So I have two pieces of fabric to sew and practice sewing my beige zip on. So imagine this is the front and back panel of a skirt, so we can practice. And the first step to sew this type of zip is to ignore it. So we're going to sew together, right sides together, our panels, leaving quite a bit of seam allowance, a bit more of what you usually pull. Once these panels are sewn, I'm going to open this seam and flatten it with the iron it. Make sure I press it really well, really flat, so it's quite open. And I'm going to place the zip on top and pin it. And then you can baste it or not, you can leave it only with pins, but let's baste it as well so we're quite sure. And now with the zip foot press already placed in our machine, we're going to place our fabric and zip on the other side of the foot so it doesn't bother us, it doesn't crash against the zip. And now changing the zipper foot to the other side, we can sew the other side of the zip without it bothering us. Now we're going to stitch the bottom bit so we secure it and it doesn't end up ripping everything. But this is ridiculous, it's not trapped in there. Don't worry, because now is when we're going to use the seam ripper. Really carefully we're going to rip the first seam we did from the bottom of the zip right to the top, making sure we introduce the one that has the little knob so we don't end up ripping the fabric as well. And we're going to fold the fabric on top, or maybe we have facings, so folding it and sew it again, it will look amazing. And to finish the top of the zip, what we're going to do is to fold this excess of zip we have. But if we just fold it, we're going to get lots of fabric. So we're folding it this way, so we get an angle, and we can then fold the top of the waistband or whatever we're sewing, or the facing even, and that way we'll get a nice finish. So imagine this is my trousers, skirt, or even cushion, and it looks really good. It works perfectly fine, and it's a fine little zip. I love how it looks, and I love the little flaps on top. It looks really nice and elegant. It doesn't look ugly at all, and you can use it with anything you can think of: skirts, trousers, cushions, anything really. Looks really nice, and if you have a metal one, it looks better even. And the invisible zip, it's also easy to do, and you just have to make sure you use the invisible zipper foot. There are two, there's the metal one and the plastic one. I used to use the metal one, but I think that is not as precise as the plastic one, which I discovered only last year. It was in my box, but I didn't know. So the metal one has the canals, of course, so the chain goes in, but they are not as deep. However, the ones in the plastic one are really deep, and I feel like the chain stays in there, all the little teeth stays in there and don't move. So for me it works much better. So let's do it now. And one tip before starting sewing the invisible zip is to open it with the iron. That way you flatten this curly bit they have, and the needle can go straight in. To sew our invisible zip, what we're going to do is to open it and place it on top on the right side of our fabric, and then twist it. We're going to turn it so the little dents, the little teeth, are not on the edge of the fabric but on the inside. And if we want to make sure that we're doing it properly, we can just make like a fold if we were hemming it to see that we're placing it properly then. And now pin it. And to sew it, we're just going to make sure it's in the canal so it doesn't bother us and we don't end up sewing it on top. And we can even open it a little bit so the needle goes right in. And now to sew the facing or to finish the top, we're going to fold the fabric right sides together like so, and even though we don't see the zip in there, it goes right in the canal again and we can sew it easily. And now when we pull it right sides out, it looks amazing. And the invisible zip one looks amazing. Take into account that I chose a black fabric and a white zip, and even like that you can't really see it. It looks amazing. But choose a color that suits your fabric, of course. I just did that so you could see it. And it looks really nice. This could be a dress, this could be a skirt or trousers or anything you fancy really. And it looks amazing. At the end of the day, we don't need to be afraid of zippers. They look amazing and they only take a bit of time, a bit of patience, and of course practice. But in order to practice, we have not to be afraid of them. So let me know down in the comments what you thought. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll leave you a link of anything I've sewn with zippers. Bye!